Thakgi from Music Pulse on McG's podcast and chill says that Fareida and Tsitsi from SABS, the what do you call it? People Need Comedy. Yeah, that podcast that was on McG's network that eventually left. I still watch it, by the way. So according to Thakgi, he says Tsitsi and Farida are basically smashing. I think I've said that before. So on this video, by the way, these news did not come from me. So the interesting thing about that is that I don't think Tsitsi can prove that because based on what he was saying, he made it seem like it was something that was known by everyone, but that is not necessarily proof. Obviously, in court, that's going to have a lot of weight. But for him to have made those type of allegations is problematic because if he can't prove them, then he can be sued, right? Because at the end of the day, or rather ultimately, what he said could potentially affect Zizi's relationship with the mother of his child, right? But I think he said this knowing that nothing is ever going to truly happen. I mean, SABS was on McG's podcast. So I think he said that obviously because they've been messing with him. So I think he assumes that they're not going to do anything because I remember there was a time, at the time, Titi was being accused of um, assault basically by this random chick on TikTok. Um, at that time, they made a joke about him looking like a Nissan Duke. And that was not cool, right? So I think from his perspective, it's like, but you made fun of me at that point. And even recently, I saw an episode whereby they were referencing him, and I think they made fun of him a little bit, right? So I think Thakgi at this point is honestly pissed off, and he is simply just, I wouldn't say returning the favor because this is a lot worse than just messing with someone because like I said it can ruin someone's reputation. Look at what the situation with Limpopo Boy is doing to his career, right? He's losing endorsement deals. I think Adidas apparently, I'm not sure about this, I just read this somewhere that Adidas was separating itself from Limpopo Boy. So obviously the situation, these allegations are not as severe, but do you remember the situation with Katlego Maboe, the presenter, who effectively was lost opportunities all because he was seen on video admitting to being unfaithful to his lady. They were not even married, but he lost opportunities because of that. So I think that's kind of an issue because if it gets to that point, then I assume they're going to sue because if you look at the SABS network, they are intentionally clean, right? Because they're trying to attract sponsors and all those type of things. So they try to avoid anything that might be controversial, right? And obviously, sleeping with your co-host, especially when you're in a relationship. I mean, obviously, we don't know what Thakgi was referencing. He's saying when they were at the network. So I'm not sure if he's saying it's still continuing at this point. And another thing is the timeline of when Zizi and his baby mama basically got together. That is also important because if they were together while he was doing PNC, it's gonna be a very interesting situation. So they haven't responded. So I think we will have to wait up until next week in order to hear if they're going to respond. I mean, of course, they're not going to be like, yeah, we were doing it. But in all honesty, I feel like I believe what Thakgi is saying. Um, Purely because I don't feel like that's something to lie about. And he's saying it was common knowledge. So I don't think he would make that up and even implicate other people in his lie and say, yeah, you all know if it wasn't true, right? But obviously they're not gonna admit to it. But the point is, if he can't prove it, even if it's true, if he can't prove it, then it's gonna be a problem for him, especially if it affects them financially.